Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction, and I think there are many issues that we want to contend with. But I'm primarily a community worker, a field worker, and I would be sharing with you basically stuff that I see in my field and attend and respond to. On a daily basis, we respond to crisis and conflicts in the family. Today, we want to talk about family itself, which is in crisis. We also want to address the issue of gender, because the notion of patriarchy is all pervasive. And we do not want to accept that patriarchy literally is part of our lives every day, including the laws and policies that my government formulates. You look at the phrases, you look at the words, you look at the sentences, and it's all very patriarchal. It might sound and look nice, whether in English or whichever language the law has been made, but it is patriarchal. Our structures are patriarchal. Our functionaries come from our homes and communities, which are largely patriarchal. Almost all religions in this world are patriarchal. In fact, if you look at the world in general, religions patriarchally are the longest standing institutions. And these institutions, like you pointed out, govern us every day. And these institutions tell us how families must be, how marriages must be, why this family is important for each one of us. Just now, if some emergency has happened in my office, we have somebody who will look after it. Something else has happened in an industry, somebody else will look after. But if you get a call that something has happened in your family, that is the most important component and aspect in my life. And we do not want to sit at India 2.0. We will go to our family. Within the constraints, if I may use the word, families are also our most loved and spaces where we tear up our hairs. How many times have we told this woman, keep the family together, sacrifice for the sake of the family? But you need to give up. You have to change. All the language that is used, whether in our TV operas, all the storybooks, everything, it's a language where this woman is a Devi, an Apsara. And all these women must aspire to become that every day. You can't become on a Monday and a Sunday and be something else on other days. Every day. Within the constraints of marriage, families, and religion, we fail to address issues that eat us up every day in our country, like child marriage, parda, hijab, sexual autonomy, infanticide. All of these is also something that is there in my head, where I have been told, if my son lights my pyre, I will go straight to heaven, thank you. If you give birth to the first child as a male baby, that one also now takes you one step closer to heaven. Yes. So I must suffer hell over here to go to that heaven. Now, we don't know where that heaven is because nobody's come and told us how it is. But this gender that we are talking about today must be understood from this intersectionality of every burden placed on the woman. And today when we talk about meta-era, let us address this issue. How many of our women are CEOs? What is the gender pay gap? UNIFEM says it would take us just about 258 years if all countries and leaders put everything into place to bridge the gender gap. 258 years? But we're already talking about meta-era. How many of our industries, factories, offices have creche for the woman? And then we get upset and angry that she makes the choice to not have a baby. For whatever reasons, we will shame her. Oh, you want your body, you want this figure. Hey, you only told, nah, keep this figure, do that figure. You have missed whatever every year. And then you tell her not to have these things. Then today we also have the issue of surrogacy. Again, we talk about religion and marriage and families, and then this woman. So we need to address this to say, when my God, whichever is that God, has said, you are both created in his image, equally, nobody is less or more, treat also equally, behave also equally, which we fail to do. Many religions will not allow women to hold power. Power inside the church, inside the temple, inside the mosque. You have power in the kitchen, of course. And that I have showed you every day with my dialogues and all my advertisements. That is your place. No matter what you do, you must aspire for that cooker, which your husband will buy and give you. The cooker won't cook by itself. You have to cook. My husband will not cook. I have to cook. So we want to ask, in the meta era, where will my advertisements like this go? What would marriage mean? What should marriage mean? People say that all the laws today are for women. Really? Look at how those laws are implemented and executed. And then you will understand that there are more women who die because of domestic violence than of malaria, cholera, and TB. And this is what we want to address today. Not that feminism is a bad word. Somewhere, some patriarchal people have given it a bad meaning and saying, oh, you know, all these feminists, they'll go and burn their bras in the roads. Really? How many of you have seen all of that? That happened in the beginning. Today, what we talk of feminism is respect and dignity to everybody, irrespective of their sex or their sexuality. And that feminism is also a feminism that respects not only this woman and the child and the man and the trans person, but also my environment. That is why we are saying this feminism needs to come into being in the real sense, not in a sense that is understood from one side or from one angle. At the end of the day, I'm hoping that the meta era will no longer push the woman to the kitchen. And this woman will have that space to be able to choose and decide about her own body, about what she wants to wear and what she wants to eat and who she wants to marry. Because when we look at religions, family, marriage is controlled by this patriarchal mindset. And that is what we want to counter, because this patriarchal mindset concentrates itself with power, which it controls with, but doesn't want to distribute. We talk about equality and do not want to distribute power. There can never be any form of equality. Unleash this power to be able to be respected by men, by women, and trans persons. And that is what our request, our demand is with the government also. We were happy a couple of years ago with 33% in the parliament. We are no longer happy about it. We want 50%. Is that bad? Have we become greedy? Do we think too much of ourselves? This is what we want to address. How can men sitting in positions of power, who've been patriarchal in their thought processes, education, interactions, even make policies for women? How do they know what we want, what is important, what is best for us? Marriage has been made that very, very important aspect for this woman, for this child, I might say. Because from that small age, our dialogues are, be good, don't do that, don't do this. When you go to the other house, you must be like that, like that. So which actually is my house, this or that? So today I want to have a house of my own where this and that can both come, both are welcome. We spoke about joint families. Can we talk about extended families? because the meta era is going to be looking at something like that. These extended families, because of technology, we can connect ourselves however, anytime that we want. Of course, it brings a numbness because of this instant gratification, but still, can we move away from that and look at families that respect your individuality, but also promote that collectiveness, also promotes all those values and ethics that we talk about. Because these values and ethics, we talk on a platform over here, but refuse to implement it, act it out in our own personal lives or professional lives. And that is the challenge. So if somebody else can be corrupt, why can't I tell a lie? If somebody else does something else, why would you tell me not to do it? This one-upmanship cannot reach us to the meta era, because there's always going to be a class struggle, and in India, a caste struggle also. And that is why I told you about that spelling of my name. This caste struggle doesn't end. This caste struggle, irrespective of what positions we are in, we continue to ask. Look at all the murders that happen because somebody married somebody, and that person didn't belong to a certain caste or a religion. And if that is the kind of violence my religion is going to promote, the question now is, should religious leaders start rethinking on their interpretation of the religious texts that might have been good thousands of years ago, but are no longer in sync with the young people, with families, and with women in general. Women are the focus. At the end of the day, I'm told that a sperm can be created in the lab, but a womb is still in the making. So you still need women. And that is the respect that we ask you to extend to women. It's not charity. Don't make us devis. We don't want to be apsaras. We don't all want to be mothers. Just this woman. If that woman can be respected for the various roles that she has to play, well and good, because then we will be teaching our men and our boys that we are all equal. Until then, we will continue to have these struggles again and again. And like Swamiji mentioned, and Mr. Praveen in the previous session, our education system needs to change completely. You can't simply do little changes here. Our new education policy doesn't have much to offer on those lines. And I hope that you will all campaign to make this education policy that is inclusive, that respects the rights of everybody and the choice of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Brinda ji. What a treat it was.